Sunred Enterprises to bring you guys these resident events. And we're trying to get out here a little bit more and do some more of these in-person tastings and awesome things like dinners and slow jam sessions and things like that. So I want to first start by saying thank you guys all so much for joining us today. It's nice to see everybody and meet the residents that we're planning these events for. We're going to do a little beer tasting today. So we're going to do 3 beers. Those beers are all paired with the snacks in your bowls. And if you guys do run out of snacks, we do have some more, so feel free to ask for another serving.
More beer?
Yeah, more beer too. We've got plenty of beer, plenty of snacks. So the first beer that we are going to taste today is called Spaten. And if you're really being authentic and you want to be really cool, then you can say it like the Germans do. They say Spaten. Spaten. That's right.
Hey, well, 5 more of these and I'll be able to say Spaten.
So Spaten is actually near and dear to my heart. I had the privilege of attending Oktoberfest the year before, you know, everything, all this happened. So that would be like a pandemic nightmare, Oktoberfest. Has anybody been to Oktoberfest before? You have?
Yeah.
It was literally like an agoraphobic's worst nightmare. And it's like a huge county fair, but we had seats in a tent, and we were in the Spaten tent. The Spaten is one of the major beers that sponsors Oktoberfest. They have these big, huge buildings for Spaten and Weinstefaner and Polliner. And they literally put these picnic tables butt to butt. Like there is not 1 inch of space between the bench for mirrors in the neck. Your back is right up against somebody else's back. Luckily, most people just stand the whole time on their tables, so like no big deal. But that's where I was first introduced to Spaten, and I feel like it was a really great first intro, especially for anybody who's never had a German Helles lager. So it's called a Helles lager, H-E-L-L-E-S. It's a very specific type of lager. And that has to do with the yeast that they use. So we're going to talk a lot about some of the flavor components, and then we're going to talk a little bit about why we chose to pair this with the pretzels. And if you guys notice, all the tables have a little sheet on them for you that has a little bit of a brief history, a little outline of what we're talking about. So now, obviously, we can tell this is a light beer, right? It's light in color, like golden in color. It's one of the indications, the clear, the light, it's an indication that it's a lager, which is a rested beer that has a very specific type of fermentation process that I will not bore you with because, yeah, that. But one of the things I want to start with is the smell. So when we talk about beer tasting, it's very similar to wine tasting. We still want to take in the aromatics of our beer before we taste it. That's why I got these fancy little wine cups. So I'm going to step back here, and just so you guys know, I did get my first vaccination. So.
I did too.
Yeah!
I got my first jab.
The vaccine crew. So when you guys are smelling your beer, try not to inhale the foam, it will burn your nose. But it's something that most people don't do when they drink beer is give it the aromatic sniff. The first thing that I really smell right off the bat is like this crazy citrus. It smells, right? Like grapefruit and oranges. And yeah, it does smell like kombucha, and you know why? Yeast. Because kombucha is a fermented beverage, so kombucha has a lot of yeast in it. And this is a pretty yeasty beer. And when you say it's yeasty, that means, hi guys, welcome. You guys can come on up and grab one of these snack cups, and let me pour you your beers. When we talk about yeast in our beer, that's what gives the beer like that kind of bready flavor. So it kind of tastes and smells a little bit like some fresh baked bread. There you go. And don't forget to grab your snack cup as well. Okay. So let's go ahead and do our taste step on this. So when we're doing tastings, we always follow the same kind of steps, the same process. And the smell is really what just kind of generates the list of things to look for when you're tasting it. So when you're tasting it, you're asking yourself, does this taste like it smells? Did it smell different than it tastes? Does it smell sweet? Does it smell citrus? What is the palate telling me? So let's go ahead and give it a taste and see what we think on that one. Of course. Yeah. I really love this beer because, you know, in America, when you have one of these light lagers, you're tasting almost nothing, you know. Funny story about Coors
Don't
Light.
insult my natural light.
You and your natural light. So, one of my favorite things to tell people about at tastings is how Coors Light advertises. Drink it cold as the Rockies, you know. It says, so cold, we want it so cold, it's so delicious and refreshing. Well, what they basically are saying when they tell you to drink it that cold is, you don't want to taste this. Drink it as cold as you can so you don't actually have to taste the flavor of it. Because when you chill a liquid, a beer or a wine, the colder it is, the less flavor, but the molecules literally condense. And that's why with wine you like throw it and open it up, because the molecules are so condensed from the temperature that they don't release the aromatics. So, funny story about Coors Light. Now, don't get me wrong, I could crack some Coors Light, but I love to just throw that one in there. What I love about this lager is it's light and it's fresh and it's citrusy, and you can drink it easily without it being overwhelming on the palate. So the pairing for this is going to be the pretzels.
What's the name of it again?
Spaten. So we're doing the pretzel pairing on this because it's the Oktoberfest tradition. And one of the reasons why the pretzels are an Oktoberfest tradition is because of the beers like Spaten and Paulaner that are the German Helles lagers. They just naturally pair so well with the salty, bready flavors of pretzels. So it's just like a really easy, simple pairing. The bitter hops from the German hops will be very contrasting with the salt from the pretzel, and then you have the complementary bready yeast from the beer and bready pretzel flavor.
Ready.
Well, all the breadies. All right, so I'm going to give you guys just a second to finish your beers, and then Des and I will come around and pour the second round.
Of the Spaten?
No, of the next beer.
Oh.